Right before Christmas of last year, my sister Tiffany was hit by a car and killed in Tucson, Arizona. She was homeless at the time. Now, as far back as I remember, Tiffany had always struggled with mental health issues and addictions of all sorts. And as a result, she spent her entire life cycling through periods of extreme highs and lows, in and out of jail, and through various states of homelessness. When we reconnected with Tiffany in 2020, she was actually doing really well. She was in a relationship, expecting a baby, and even helping other women who shared her struggles. But then fast forward to March of 2021, she was essentially homeless again and giving birth to a baby who was addicted to pain medication. Unfortunately, she disappeared 6 weeks after that. Finally, in November, we were contacted by a woman named Nancy who had found Tiffany living on the streets in Tucson. And at that time, God gave me this assignment. And among other things, I had to send my sister a pair of perfectly white tennis shoes. Now, I had no idea what size they had to be or why they had to be so bright. All I knew is that God was asking me to trust him. And so I did. And on November 22nd, Nancy sent me a picture of my sister in those shoes walking away. It was the last time we saw her because she died 3 weeks later. Now, when it happened, people obviously offered their condolences, but with me, there was this added sense of pity because earlier that year, just 6 weeks after my son was born, we found out that my husband had a brain tumor that he had to get removed. And at the time of Tiffany's death, we had just emerged from the worst of the recovery. And so it might sound really strange that I would say God's timing of my sister's death was a mercy on me, because I had spent months where God was the only thing keeping me from falling to pieces. And so I didn't even attempt to process my grief without him. I just gave it all to him. And when I did that, he started to show me his hand in all of the details. It was in all those moments that he gave me with my sister that I got to hear her voice for the first time in 12 years. I got to tell her that I loved her. Don't even remember the last time I did that. And how she died, how quickly we found out after the accident. It was just mercy upon mercy upon mercy. And even it being around Christmas, it was a blessing, because through all the sermons about the gifts that Jesus received, God showed me that those white shoes, those perfectly clean white shoes, were never about sustaining Tiffany here. They were always his beautiful way of showing me where my sister was going. And once I had that revelation, the poem that I wrote for my sister, White Shoes, just poured out of me. And I was filled with this intense desire to ensure that while Tiffany's name was not associated with many positive things during her lifetime, it would be in her death. A few months later, I stumbled upon the Steps of Hope event, and I learned about Team Hope. And I reached out to Gina and shared my sister's story with her, not really sure what we were gonna do. And we met a few weeks after that, and the Tiffany Lynn Hazel White Shoes Scholarship was born. And today, it is a lifeline through Team Hope that offers the hope and the encouragement and the community that my sister desperately needed, but was never able to find during her life. And I'm very humbled and excited to announce that since its launch over this past summer, it's already raised $8,400, and I believe there's more coming and that we're gonna reach that $10,000 goal. But of course, these were not the only blessings that God was intending to give us through this scholarship. As I mentioned before, my sister had a baby last March, and we only ever had a name, Riley Ann. We didn't know what hospital, and because Arizona is a closed state, there was very little hope for us ever finding her. Well, the day before my sister's celebration of life event, I received a phone call from a woman who I quickly learned and almost collapsed to the floor to find out was Riley's adoptive mom. Well, it turns out she never stopped looking for information about my sister. And so even though we postponed publishing her obituary to be close to the Celebration of Life event, this woman found it. And that gave her my name. It led her to the scholarship website, to a number that she took a chance on, and it all came together the day before my sister's event. Only God could have pulled that off. And so I know that on our calendars, the Steps of Hope event has been postponed, but I truly believe that on God's calendar, we are exactly on time, because His glory is in the delay. His mercy and His goodness are in the details. And I believe that when it all comes together, it is going to absolutely take our breath away.